Hello again, folks. It's time for another Butt on Film. So today, because coming up on June 19th, I'm going to be doing a screening in the back room of Eyesore Cinema. It's going to be my birthday screening, although technically my birthday is on June 21st, but it's just works better for my weekend or whatever. So June 19th at 7 p.m., I'm going to be showing the movie Jodhaa Akbar. And to sort of do a video around that, I'm going to be talking about some movies by the two leads of this movie. I'm not going to talk about this movie because I'm going to show it. So if you want to know about this movie, come see it at Eyesore Cinema, June 19th at 7 p.m. It's a free screening of Bollywood movie. Yay, go see it. So I'm going to talk about some movies from the two leads. This is Hrithik Roshan and Aishwarya Rai. So Hrithik Roshan and Aishwarya Rai. They're the two leads of Jodhaa Akbar. This is a great fucking period piece, epic action romance movie. I've sort of been describing it as imagine like a much more beautiful Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. If you can, like, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is a very gorgeous looking movie. This one, like the sets, the costumes and everything, it's stunning. An absolutely stunning movie. So come watch it. Or don't. That's also an option. So I'll start with Hrithik Roshan, who is an actor I quite like a lot. I don't have a couple of his movies that I'll just briefly talk about. One being Koi Me Gaia, which is basically a combination of, it's like Forrest Gump meets E.T., and then E.T. turns Forrest Gump into a Superman. That's basically the plot of Koi Me Gaia. It's now, for a movie that started as sort of a Forrest Gump lampoon, meets E.T., it's the most successful superhero franchise now in Bollywood. So there's something for you. Starring Hrithik Roshan, who is this fella too from the other cover that I showed you. Hrithik Roshan's a pretty fun actor. He's incredibly, like, I always think of him like he's got like these really long arms that are like really buff. So sometimes when he wears like a sleeveless shirt or something in a movie, he kind of looks like, if you've ever seen like when somebody puts He-Man arms from a He-Man action figure on a smaller action figure. That's what I think of when I think of Hrithik Roshan. But he's also a really good actor. He's very charming. He's clearly a very handsome man. He's great. This was his first like big leading man role, like pretty much his first role. He's actually like a sort of a child of like people in the business, so he sort of grew up around it. But he had like a crippling stutter that he had to, like, he worked hard to get over to become an actor. Various other, he had like, apparently if you look at his trivia like on IMDb, half of the things sound completely unbelievable because of the crazy stuff he had to get over to become an actor. Like, he's just such a driven guy that he did all this stuff. So he's a pretty like interesting person in and of his own right. But he's also like a very good actor, very, very good dancer. Some would say one of the best dancers in Bollywood today. If you're talking, like, I think in my last video when I talked about Shah Rukh Khan, who's the biggest actor in Bollywood, arguably the biggest actor Bollywood has ever produced, Hrithik Roshan is quite up there. He may not be as big as Shah Rukh Khan, but he's a pretty big deal. And this was where it started with Kaho Na Pyar Hai. it just rolls off the tongue, some of these titles. Kaho Na Pyar Hai. This movie is pretty fucking awesome, truth be told. Hrithik Roshan, so he's like a singer in the first half of this movie. He's this singer guy who, this girl is like a rich girl, and she like falls for him. She falls for him, and he's just sort of like, he's a nice guy. He's like, you seem nice, okay, whatever. And he gets this job singing on a cruise she's on, because she's a rich girl. And so they get, through a series of circumstances, get stranded on a desert island together. And then, over the course of being stranded on the desert island together, they fall deeply in love, as you do. And then, they eventually get pulled back to mainland, which is when the trouble happens. I'm like, should I spoil the halfway? How many people who are watching this are actually going to watch this movie? Let's say he kind of dies halfway through the movie, but it's Bollywood, so when your lead hero in the Bollywood movie dies halfway through a movie, that doesn't always mean he's not going to be in the rest of the movie. I won't say how he comes back or what goes on, but he comes back with a vengeance, and it all kind of works out. Don't get too upset if it's halfway through a movie and a Bollywood lead is dead. There's a good chance you'll see him again. If it's near the end of the movie, he's probably just dead. So we'll see. And then the only other movie I really have starring him is Kites, which sort of got a bit of like, more than a lot of Bollywood movies, got a little bit more attention in North America when it got released in theaters here, because apparently Brett Ratner like bought the distribution rights or something to it in North America, and then recut it to a much shorter version and then released that. And from what I understand, people really hated that version of the movie. It did not go over well. So then they pretty shortly afterwards released like a full length version of it, put the songs back in it. Though this is not a very song and dance heavy Bollywood movie. There's only like really 2 major song and dance numbers in it. This is actually a really great sort of two lovers on the run from both the bad guys and the law movie. Incredible stunts in this movie. Like this, I can see why Brett Ratner was like, I can redo this and sell this to American audiences, because it as just like if you just take the action movie parts of it, it's like it kind of dominates most of what comes out in the U.S. In the last while. It's pretty awesome. But like the love story in it is legitimately really sweet, and you're really rooting for those 2 kids in it. He's basically like this huckster who lives in Las Vegas, who part of his whole thing is he will fake marry women for green card scams. She's a Mexican illegal immigrant, and they get fake married. It's kind of like hazy on how they pull the thing, how they pulled his little scam in the movie, because they don't actually have any sort of legal documentation for their marriage, but they're still like, it's enough for whoever's handing out the green cards, I guess. They just go to an office and say, yeah, we're married. And then it's like, okay, checked off. But you don't have to worry about these little details in movies. So later she ends up, he ends up sort of hooking up with this other rich girl. And he's really just like sort of using her not to be poor anymore. It's horrible to say, like, and it seems kind of skeezy, but like you do eventually see his sort of motive in it. And she's kind of doing the same with the brother of this girl. So they meet again later, and they fall in love. even though they don't really speak each other's languages because she's Mexican and he's Indian, and he speaks pretty fluent English because he's been living in Las Vegas his whole life, but she's kind of like not great with English. So it takes them some time, and they sort of like work through it, and then you get to see it grow, and it really works well. Uh, uh, Shit. Part of the reason I bought this movie was because the girl who plays the rich girl who he hooks up with is a really big deal in Bollywood now. But when she was in this, she's just in a tiny little part. She's barely in the movie, though she does get a bit of a dance scene with Hrithik Roshan. So worth it. I can't remember her name right now, so that helps you not at all. Whatever. Kites is really really fun. A really good movie. Action-packed, lots of crazy stunts, which apparently they did a lot of the stunts themselves, which when you watch the movie, you're like, that's insane. You guys probably shouldn't have done that. That's incredibly dangerous. Yeah, so that's actually all I have for Hrithik Roshan besides that and Jodhaa Akbar. But he is pretty great. I've seen him in a bunch of other movies. Many I've rented from Eyesore Cinema, so if you're an Eyesore Cinema regular, you can definitely rent Koi Mi Gaia from there, and I highly recommend you do, because it's a wild ride. Again, Forrest Gump meets E.T., E.T. turns Forrest Gump into Superman, so why wouldn't you want to watch that? And he also is in this great movie called Lakshya, which is like sort of about a guy joining up in the Indian military, and it's been a while since I've seen it, and I don't think I really knew the context for the particular battles they were referencing in it, but I think it's got something to do with the Pakistani border, some Pakistani border skirmishes. I'm not entirely sure. It's been quite some time, and I don't really remember the context, but it's also a very good movie. So, Hrithik Roshan, check him out. He's great. And the other one, Aishwarya Rai, the female lead of Jodhaa Akbar, who, again, like, if Shah Rukh Khan is the biggest male star in Bollywood, the biggest female star is Madhuri Dixit. Aishwarya Rai, I will say, is probably right behind her. But and she is like nipping at her heels. Like, she's so close in terms of like fame and stuff, and large amount of like what did that besides movies like Jodhaa Akbar, which is like now considered sort of a modern classic and stuff, and it's really awesome, is Devdas. This movie here with Shah Rukh Khan and Madhuri Dixit, the two other biggest Bollywood stars at the time. I think this movie was like late 90s. It came out. This is actually the director of this, Sanjay Leela Bhansali. He, like, I always describe him as a director. Like, Bollywood is a form of like a. When you watch a Bollywood movie, you generally think it's going to be very visual, like have a lot of visual flair and look really good. Even among the field of Bollywood, where most movies look pretty amazing, Sanjay Leela Bhansali, sorry, I keep looking back at his name, Sanjay Leela Bhansali makes movies that are particularly beautiful. He is a really amazing director. And his movies are not always easy to digest emotionally. Devdas is one of them. Part of the reason why, I will say, like, part of the thing with Shah Rukh Khan, a little secret about him, is while he can play extremely charming and likable, a lot of his better movies are when he's less likable. He's pretty hard to like in Devdas. Devdas is a movie that's based on, like, I guess, like an old book, or like, I think a book or novel or novella, basically about this guy who he's deeply in love with Aishwarya Rai's character. They like grew up next door to each other. He comes home from learning schooling in England, and she, through a variety of circumstance, he completely fucks it up, and they're not meant to be together. He has like this moment of hesitation, a very important moment, and it completely like screws their whole romance. And Shah Rukh Khan's character, Devdas, which is his name, he decided he becomes a just all out alcoholic. He's completely planning to drink himself to death, and spends like most of his time at this prostitute's bordello. Played by Madhuri Dixit, is the prostitute, and he can't. He doesn't actually like. He can't be with her physically in any way because the whole politics around like the social politics around prostitution in India is so messed up, and his like thinking about it is pretty shitty. Like I said, he's not a super likable character in this, but she's super in love with him. Both the women in this movie are completely in love with him, despite the fact that he's kind of a whatever. And that apparently was part of the point of the book too. Is if anything, they sort of, from what I've read, they made him more sympathetic in the movie. In the book, he's just like sort of this nothing shadow of a man who just sort of wanders through it. It's really about the two women, and they are in the movie too. They are the better characters. They're like have much more strength and strength of character and various stuff than Devdas does, even though he is the title character. So it's an absolutely gorgeous movie. Again, this was like Sanjay Leela Bhansali. This was like the movie he made that sort of like, he had made movies before, but this was when he like really, I think he found his like director of photography or cinematographer. He found his look that he was sort of going for and trying to achieve in his movies, and like this sort of informed what he would make afterwards. And it's just like it's like a weird, beautiful like poem of a movie. It's so gorgeous, like, and so incredibly like it's powerful. It seems powerful. Like it just all works really well. That's what I got on the TV, but it just looks sort of blurry from here. It's too bad you can't see how absolutely gorgeous this movie is. It's ridiculous. It is like hypnotizing to watch this movie. It's like pulling you into this weird magical world. But then like the emotions in it are so captivating as well. It's a really good movie that will make you very angry at it at times, but also is totally worth it. It's amazing. I really badly at one point want to play this for my Bollywood screening series, but at the same time I'm like, I really don't want it to become the Shah Rukh Khan show where I'm just showing like a ton of Shah Rukh Khan movies, but he's just in so many great movies. It's hard not to keep popping him in there because he's gonna pop up a couple more times. I'm definitely playing Dilsha. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna play that in October. Do with that what you may. And then Kuchna Kaho, where Aishwarya Rai co-stars with Amitabh Bachchan's son, Abhishek Bachchan. They are married in real life, so isn't that sweet? So Amitabh Bachchan is probably his father. Amitabh Bachchan is, until Shah Rukh Khan came along, he was the biggest star in Bollywood. He was the biggest thing they ever created. You could even argue maybe he's still the bigger one today. He really sort of changed the game, or at least he came at a time when stuff was changing, and he sort of became synonymous with that style. Like if you watch an Amitabh Bachchan movie from the 70s, like nothing's cooler. Like he's the shit. He does get top billing in this movie. Amitabh Bachchan does on this DVD. Funny thing is, he's not in this movie. So I don't know. This is probably just because this is a bootleg. So they put Amitabh Bachchan to try and sell it more, but he's not in it. His son is though, Amitesh Bachchan, who he's actually honestly like, I first kind of wanted to hate him because he's the son of the most famous guy, became an actor and is also, but I mean, after watching this and then and more so watching Bunty or Babley, I can't hate the guy. He's too good. he's too fucking charming and likable and fun. He's cool and he's tall like his dad. He's got his own like sort of unique style. He's not exactly his dad, but he's he'll never be as big as his dad, but he's still like a good actor. And I mean, hey man, he got to marry Aishwarya Rai. Like, good on you. Aishwarya Rai in this. So this is like one of those romantic melodrama movies, of which there are many in Bollywood. Like I think I said in the last one, like the romantic melodramas are the real meat and potatoes of Bollywood. That's a large amount of what's out there, and I know they're not for everybody, but I will definitely play some of them, and I generally love all the ones I've seen. This is not one of my favorite ones, but it's pretty good. It's basically like they meet, and he's kind of like, in the beginning of the movie, he's kind of like a douchey guy, and he's like playing like basically like lying all the time and like stuff, and she's like, oh, this guy, he's kooky. But then like she gets put on like her she works for his father, not Amitabh Bachchan, like his father in the movie, a different guy. So she works for his father in the movie, and then she gets assigned by the father to find a wife for him, and as they're doing that, they grow close and they become friends, and he starts to like her. And then it turns out she's also like got this son she never mentioned before, and she keeps a little more quiet. She's a single mom, sort of thing, and they then they go into. Turns out she's got like some shithead deadbeat dad who just basically impregnated her and bailed for 7 years. And then just, of course, because you got to have like drama in the second act, he comes back and she's like torn between like her duties as being a wife to this douchebag, and she's actually like in love with this guy, Amitesh Bachchan, who's actually really good with her son and is like a good guy and will be there for her. So it's really like, if you're watching it from a North American perspective, you're like, what even is the choice? How is she like having any trouble with this? But it's like that, like marriage is such a like a sacred thing in India. It's like the idea of like just getting a divorce, even with a deadbeat ass dad who fucking bailed for 7 years, and he's really like a piece of shit in this movie. He's like, he comes back and he's basically like, yeah, I been hooking up with this girl for the last 7 years, but then she bailed on me and now I need money. I'm back. And she's like, should I stay with this guy? It's pretty ridiculous. It's part of the reason why this is not one of my favorite of the romantic melodramas. It is a little hard to like not go like, yeah, just pick the guy who will take care of your son and is a good guy, like, obviously. But, you got to have some drama in that. I only really, like, Bunty or Babley, I only really brought out because technically Aishwarya Rai is in this movie. She's not one of the characters. She's, like, a friendly appearance. She comes out for what they would call the item song, which I don't know if that's like, I've heard it's considered like a sexist term now, and I kind of see why. Because an item song is there'll be a guest appearance by a female dancer, like actress, dancer, usually. She shows up for one scene to dance for like the male lead character in the movie, and then she'll disappear from the movie. It's basically like a sexy lady dance for the male lead character. And it's, you know, pretty common in Bollywood movies. It happens quite a bit. Aishwarya Rai does the item song in this one. I think it's like the sexist nature of it is item is like objectifying, like you're an object, you're an item, you know, like that sort of thing. I don't know. I like, as a term, I'm like, well, that item sounds not too bad, but I can see maybe they'll come up with a different term for it, or they'll stop doing it, maybe. I don't know. But she does one in this movie, and it's one of the best ones I've ever seen. It's fucking awesome. I play the song from it constantly. It's really catchy and amazing. And again, Amitesh, Abhishek Bakshan, who is her husband, is in it. It's like Abhishek Bakshan and Amitabh Bachchan, his father, both dance with Aishwarya Rai. So it's sort of this weird thing where, in the context of the song and the thing, she's like hitting on Amitabh Bachchan, her father-in-law, in real life, because she's like, he's cute, and Abhishek Bakshan is like, oh, she's cute, so he keeps trying to hit on her like really drunkenly during the song. Like they're both wasted, and she's like this dancer at a bar, and she keeps sort of pushing him aside for his real life father is the character in the movie. So it's sort of one of those weird things. It's like, oh, she's going for the father-in-law, but it's kind of like in context, and like when you think of all the background of it, it's like it's actually kind of cute, you know. I like it, and it's a great movie. And I'm gonna probably screen this too. This will be like a fun Christmas screening movie. It's a movie about a pair of a duo of con artists who go on they're like Robin Hood style con artists. They steal from the rich and then they give to the poor. And Amitabh Bachchan is the hard-nosed cop on their case. It's pretty fucking sick. So yeah, that's some Hrithik Roshan and Aishwarya Rai movies. This might have been completely unfollowable nonsense to most people who watch it, if you watch it. But hopefully it wasn't. Hopefully that was followable. So again, movies to watch. I really highly recommend Kaho Na Pyar Hai. If you can get a funky little bootleg copy like this from Little India or find it some other way, it's a really fun ride, and he's got his big ol' He-Man arms out in the like last bit of it, where he's just beating the shit out of bad guys, and it's fun. Everybody loves it. And Kites, which again, fucking awesome. This movie rocks. It's a blast. Watch it. Devdas. Not as fun as the other two because it's an emotional roller coaster and this crazy fucking magical poem of a movie, but stunning, absolutely stunning. Like modern masterpiece, great, so good. Kuchna Kaho, Kuchna Kaho. I definitely don't recommend this as much as the other ones. If you're a Bollywood super fan, like I have become as of late, you may want to watch it because it is pretty darn good, but not the best. Pretty solid, but not great. And Bunty or Babli, which again, very little Aishwarya Rai in this. She's in one scene, but it's a hell of a scene. And most importantly, don't forget June 19th. At 7 p.m. in iSource Cinema for free. Come see Jodhaa Akbar. It's a great, epic period piece action romance about a Muslim emperor marrying a Hindu princess. Will they make it work? We will see. Catch you later, everybody.